ya tenemos. No. Ya está. Pues buenos días a todos, bienvenidos a esta universidad y en particular a esta Facultad de Psicología, a quienes agradecemos profundamente su apoyo para organizar este evento. Voy a ir hablando en español y luego le voy a traducir a Martin lo que estoy diciendo para que él también me entienda. In the name of the National University of Mexico, we give you the warmest welcome. It's really a pleasure to have you here today. And it's important to mention that we deeply appreciate the support of the Faculty of Psychology here. And the Direction of Information Technology, welcome to Martin Dougiamas. Este evento está organizado a través de la Dirección General de Cómputo y de Tecnologías de Información y Comunicación y de su seminario Moodle, con el gran apoyo de la Facultad de Psicología de la UNAM, quien nos ha facilitado estas instalaciones tan lindas en las que estamos el día de hoy. Y bueno, pues ya todo mundo conoce perfectamente a Martin Dougiamas, pero no puedo evitar presentar su currículum. Él es un pedagogo y científico australiano, y él ha estudiado la teoría pedagógica del construccionismo social y de la educación en línea, y ha desarrollado la plataforma Moodle, como todos sabemos. Él es el fundador y el director general de Moodle, de la empresa como tal. Martin Dougiamas is an Australian pedagogue and a computer scientist. He has studied the pedagogical theory of social constructionism in learning and teaching online, and has led the development of the Moodle learning platform. He is founder and CEO of Moodle. Welcome, Martin. So they are here to listen to you. So I'm going, and you have a word.
I'm going to walk. I like to stand up. So
Yeah.
Is this okay? This microphone? Yeah. Is that better? Can we hear? It's okay. Buenos dias. Hello. It's it's a big pleasure. Oh, the water actually. A very big pleasure to be here. It was organised at a very short notice. I sent out one tweet on Twitter. I said, I'm going to be here. Does anybody want to meet? And I got an email back from Rebecca. Said, oh, let's have this. So it was very, very nice. And I'm glad to see we have so many people here. So thank you for coming. I'm very sorry about having to speak English. Spanish is my #1 language that I'm learning, but I don't feel comfortable to use yet. But maybe next year. Well, let's see. But I'm working on that. I'm in the middle of a big trip. I'm seeing a lot of places, and I'm coming to South America more. I just came from Perth. I went to Sydney, to Santiago, to Rio de Janeiro, to Cartagena, Colombia, Mexico City, Philadelphia, Miami, Barcelona, Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, back to Perth in 4 weeks. So I was flying over Mexico anyway, and this is why I had a day or two, and I'm here. So I want to talk to you a little about what we're doing, because Moodle is changing. We're doing some very interesting new things, and I wanted to show you my thoughts for what we're doing and just discuss with you a little, because I think it's very important that the Moodle community doesn't just use Moodle, but actually works on improving Moodle together, that we need to work together more. And so that's why I'm traveling and speaking to people, because I want to look for opportunities of how we can think together and make the world a better place. So you may know, does this work? Turn it on, there we go. That we have this, the mission of Moodle is to empower educators to improve our world. Now these words are all important, and it fits on a t-shirt also, because empowering educators is the way forward, in my opinion. It's about, if we help teachers to do the right things, to have power, to be able to influence the next generation, we have the best chance to do the greatest good for our planet, and I'll explain. What we are trying to do at Moodle is our job is to give people the best platform, the most effective platform. So for the least amount of work, you get the most results. Right? That's the effectiveness for learning. Now, there we go. So let me explain why we have this mission at Moodle. Well, as I said, I'm traveling around the world, and it's not very big, actually. The planet is quite small. When you visit a lot of countries, you can see people are people. That we have very interesting different ways of living, but we're still all humans. And then we live on this planet which has, well, this is moving by itself. We're living on this very small planet which has limited resources. There's water, air, the environment is limited. It's in space. Well, we are floating in space right now. Australia is somewhere down here. That's the context, right? This is very, I don't know where I should point with this. Opa. So, on the planet, these are some from the last 200 years. Humans have made some good progress in terms of our own quality of life. Poverty has gone down, so 10% of humans are in extreme poverty. You know, it used to be more, but so that's good. Basic education is improved. Literacy is improved. Democracy, whether or not you like how we do democracy, some very notable examples just north of here. But about half of the countries in the world use democracy. I think the idea that everyone has impact on the government is a good idea, but the implementation is usually not so good. Vaccinations have improved. Now there's only 4 people out of 100 are dying when they're babies. It's still not good, but it's better than it used to be. So, we've made some improvements as a species. But if you look at the UN, the United Nations Sustainable Goals, we still have very big problems to solve. And some of them are new problems that we are creating for ourselves. There are many, many things here about gender equality, about sustainable cities, communities, etc. But I'm just going to focus on some of them, these ones, coming. I realize now I have to wait a few seconds. There we go. So we have a problem of massive inequality. So the difference between the poor and the rich is growing a lot. Last year, the bottom 50% of people in the world, how much the wealth of the bottom 50% was equal to the top 143 people. In January, this became 8 people. 2 months ago, it was 5 people. So, now I don't want to get paranoid, but you can see there is a tendency that eventually we will all be working for one person somewhere. There is a problem with food and water security. Some countries, there's just not enough water, not enough food. There's a refugee crisis. Oh, I've got a pointer here, haven't I? Is it that? Nope. No, where's the pointer? Ah, there we go. There's 65 million people don't have a home. We've got climate change. And sometimes in some parts of the world you get more winter. In some parts of the world you're getting more summers, but it's more turbulent. There is the climate is obviously being affected. Data privacy and ownership. So who owns our data? Who owns information? Who controls? The automation. A lot of people are trying to replace jobs with machines. Computers, robots, it's replacing jobs everywhere. But is there a plan for jobs for the people who are being replaced? Not so much. The quality of healthcare. Again, I'm going to use the US as an example of somewhere that, in my opinion, does not have a very good quality healthcare. A big country like this. Education quality. So yes, we have better basic education, but do we have the type of education to make people citizens, like who are very active citizens? So to solve these kind of big problems, I'm waiting for the slides. Come on, there we go. That's what I think we need. To solve those kind of problems, we need everybody to be thinking globally, multiculturally aware. So you can't understand refugees unless you understand that they are just human beings like you from a different place. Environmentalist, we have to be thinking about the environment we live in, that our children are living in, and we have to be caring, we have to care about this stuff, and we have to be citizens. We have to be able to vote, we have to be able to be involved in government, be involved. This is the only way we can make real changes if people want to do these things. I'm going to pause. Is my English okay? Can you understand? Is it okay? I'm trying to be clear. So, for me, it's all about education. Education is what drives everything. And a lot of you are in education because I think you feel the same way, that education is like the #1 most important thing. Everything else depends on education. Across all subjects. The relation between me hitting this button and that changing is almost random. I'm not sure. Well, I'm just going to go like this if it doesn't work. All right? So do it now. Yeah. It's the range. I think the range is a bit off. I don't know where I should point this. It's there? Ah. No, I don't think. Is it? Okay. It has a lag. Yeah. Good. Next slide. Now, I wish we could say that our governments were solving this problem. I wish. But while in many countries there is a good tradition of public education, and we are in one of the biggest public universities, which is fantastic, in many parts of the world, the focus, the funding for public education is not that great. It's not so good. And it forces more and more people to go private education. Now, that's because governments tend to focus, they don't focus on generational improvements, they focus on their next election, they focus on the next 3 years, 4 years. In Australia and in many countries, it doesn't really seem to matter who you vote for. You know, usually you have a choice of two. Like across all of the activity of human beings, you've got a choice of two options. Every issue is different, right? You can't, voting for one party, yeah, look, it kind of works, but it's not ideal. Because they have economic drivers, they have a budget to deal with. It just, in many countries, there seems to be decreasing money to public education. So maybe there's more people who need it and less money for it. I'm seeing a lot of people nodding, so that must be true here. There's increased focus on administration and reporting because they're trying to, I think, to be more efficient with the finances that we have, so they bring in more reporting, but this has the effect of making the equality of education less, I think, in the end. And there is a focus on training people for the workforce. We are making students for this job, for this job, for this job. It doesn't mean you can vote on issues. It doesn't mean you can improve the world or change the world. You will have a job as a something, which, you know, is okay. It's part, you need to have that, but that's not all. And I just see more and more universities becoming a pathway into becoming, working for this one person at the top, right? Next slide. Is capitalism going to solve education? Well, what we see, particularly in, well, in many fields, that most companies are designed to maximize profit. It's just how they are. I don't know, they don't have to be that way, but that's the dominant paradigm of corporate behavior. And that's since 1950s, Milton Friedman, the economic models about the idea is that if you have companies that are focusing on profit, they will naturally do the best thing for the customers. Things will balance naturally, and everything will be served. If there's a gap, a company will come and fill the gap. But this doesn't happen because the environment does not make companies. Right? In Australia, the kangaroos do not have a company. The trees don't the water, they don't make companies, right? If there's no profit for somebody, nobody cares. There's not enough caring for that stuff. The young, very young, and the very old and the poor, they don't make companies also, right? They have no influence in this system. The US has 5% of the world's population. It obviously is a big, you know, one of the leaders in the world of a capitalist society, and has done a lot of good things, but they have 25% of the world's wealth, and they have 30%, they need 30% of the world's resources every year. So this model cannot work globally. There's not enough resources. There's not enough, you can't have very wealthy companies everywhere in the world because there's not enough resources for it. In the electronic sphere, Silicon Valley, I'm going to use Silicon Valley, but I'm talking about the Googles, the Facebooks, the Apples, the big companies. They also do a lot of good things. We get a lot of good things from them, but the model that they live on is generally about profit, and it's about buying your attention. They buy your attention. All the apps that you have, you probably most of you are on Facebook. You're flipping through. Facebook is designed to make you do that a lot, because then you see more advertisements. When you see advertisements, they can sell your time, your mind space to an advertiser. This is the model. And there's no doubt about this. They're very explicit about this. But because they are focused on selling you your attention and your data to the highest bidder, they don't really care about you as a person, and they're not focused on the environment, they're not focused on the society, they're focused on the profit. So there's no incentive for them to look after the bigger things. And they will go, well, but we are just a social company, we are helping people communicate. Yes, but in this environment, we're having more and more problems. And the recent elections, I'm going to keep talking about the US, the recent elections, you could see, was a lot of this result of just this out of control social media that is going on. So I don't think this structure is going to give us the solutions to making the world a better place necessarily. So another slide, please. So we have power concentrating in fewer and fewer hands. This is a worry to me, because it's in their best interests to keep the system that made them rich, right? There's no incentive for them to change, because it works great. Everything's great for me. I own 5 islands and a few countries. And so anyway, next slide. The language you hear from Silicon Valley and many companies is about disruption, about replacement, about control. You hear it. You just look at the way they talk about starting new companies. The way they talk about the investment, venture capitalists investing in new companies. We're going to disrupt the space, you know. We're going to get Uber, and it's going to be better than taxis. Well, it is actually just a taxi, right? It's the same, except it has less regulation. It has less. They're not paying taxes. They're not supporting the city they're in. You know, they're disrupting, but now they're trying to control a particular market. So, next slide. This is what I prefer. I think we need to focus on how we support the systems that we built already, like the education system. How do we nurture and improve the things that we have? Next slide. So for me, the only solution that I can see that makes sense is to have open everything. Because if you build an open system that works, it is beyond one company. It is beyond one government. It is beyond any individual people. Like, if I suddenly turn evil or my plane crashes into the ocean, Moodle will continue, right? And think about like Linux or Unix, or in fact, most of the internet runs on Linux and Unix. In fact, even most of these devices run on that. Nobody really owns that software. It's open, right? It's just powering everything. And then you have open government, open standards, there's open data, open education content, and open education. There's so many initiatives, and there's so many people who are working on this open stuff. And it's all good. This is good stuff, because we don't have the problems of governments or companies so much. So that's why Moodle is an open source project, and we are now putting more attention into how does Moodle integrate with these other open projects to get more effect. So next one, please. So this is what I think we should be trying to work on around the world in education. We should be thinking that quality education is a basic human right. Not just basic education so that you can do a job. Quality education. Like, everybody should have probably a postgraduate degree. Let's look at it that way. The best school should be the closest one to you. Why not? Why wouldn't we want that? Teachers should be respected, like doctors, politicians. I mean, you know, politicians, you see them in the newspaper all the time. You don't see teachers so much in the newspaper. So, you know, celebrities. Oh, God, I mean, when sometimes you see on Wikipedia, there's arguments about scientists or teachers having a web page. They say, oh, they're not very famous. But if you play a flute on one track of one album in 1972, you will have a big web page on Wikipedia, right? So teachers, we need to support them with tools, with ongoing professional development, unrestricted content, like the copyright and the control of books and information is getting worse and worse. Publishing journals and the research and things, you know, it's getting locked up by very big profit-focused companies. So I think, though, if we work on these issues, and that's the goal, that we can promote global, cross-cultural collaboration, then we have a chance to solve the big problems. That's my philosophy. Next one. Next slide. Yeah. So that's why we have this mission, and that's why we have this vision, and that's what Moodle is about. So next one, please. I really would like this button to work. Okay. So I'm not going to go too much into these, but these are very, very important. They're on our website. These are the values that we have. The values are about the way we do things and what we are trying to promote. Obviously, we're promoting education at all levels. This is an education situation. Just talking with someone over lunch is an education situation, and everywhere. But also inside our company and inside the Moodle project. Openness is, we try to be open, and we try to just not have secrets as much as possible. It's about respect. It's about respecting individuals and everybody equally, because we are all equally, we have an equal right to be on this planet, every single one of us, and I'm including animals and trees too. We have integrity. We try and be, you know, not just do it in public, but also your whole life, like try and carry these values everywhere. And innovation. Something inside the Moodle company, we try and promote individual staff to innovate. Not just work under a hierarchy, but to actually have bottom-up innovation. And the Moodle project and openness in general encourages innovation. And so a lot of you here are innovating with Moodle, I know, from the few conversations we've already had. So that's about, whoop. I think I pressed the button and it's going to go again. So we have 84,000, actually it's up to 89 now. This is a bit old. Look at Mexico. What? Yeah, it's a bit old. I need to update this slide a bit more often. But look at Mexico. It's number 4 in the world for Moodle users. And I've been here only 3 times in 15 years. This is a very bad situation. So I have to be here more, and I have to learn Spanish. Alternatively, you all learn English and come to Australia. Yeah, oh, you're welcome. I have 2 spare beds, but we can work this out. Yeah, you can see most of the countries don't speak English as their first language. It's very international. Most of our developers, even in the Moodle company, most of our developers are not from English-speaking countries. But we do use English as our development language. But this is really interesting. Something very interesting is that India, about 2 months or 3 months before this screenshot, was down at number 10. And it's gone whoosh. There's a lot of Moodle in India happening right now. And there is an Indian Moodle Moot in December. But yeah, Latin America. Oh, yeah, 4995. Well, it's gone up another 800 sites, 700, 800, even since a couple of months ago. So that's, you know, it's amazing. And when I look at that, and you know, I started Moodle. I was the first Moodle person, right? There was no other there was one, and now there's all this. It makes me feel a huge sense of responsibility to do good things now from where we are going forward. But it's not about the numbers for me. It's about quality, and it's the quality is what we need to work on now. So give me another one. So the growth of Moodle over 15 years has been sort of like that. I've been looking for how to make it go like this. And I spent 2 years looking for investors, somebody I could trust. And I must have talked to about 50. And when I talk to them and they start talking about profits too much, they start focusing on you know, goals of profits, and I go, sorry, no, you don't get it, right? You're not understanding what this project is, and you know, they go away. But I finally found an investor that I really like earlier this year, and we announced this about a month ago, and it's a family in France who one of the companies that this family owns is called Decathlon. Decathlon, do you know? They're in Mexico, are they? Yeah, sports company. And you think, oh well, sports, education, what's the relationship? But actually, in their culture and the way they think and the way they operate this company, it's very, very good match. So Decathlon is about, I don't want to advertise them too much, but they are about sports for the masses. And they have things like in their vision and mission to keep the profit to a minimum. If they make savings by changing the technology of things and making things in a better way, a cheaper way, then they pass that on to the consumer at the end. Because their goal is about giving people the tools to be fit, to be healthy. And they run an 80,000 person company with 4 levels of management. It's very organic, very dynamic the way it works. I was very impressed when I saw them. And they really get Moodle, and they get what we're trying to do, and they're really trying to help in education. And they had a lot of money. So I took a little money to help push these plans. So now it's time to make Moodle amazing. So I don't want this to be a project that always is looking for money from investor type people. Moodle has always been sustainable. For 15 years, we've had a business model of Moodle partners and so on that has kept it going. And I've never been in debt with Moodle. Moodle has never been in debt. It's always been how much money we have is how much we spend. Just runs like a small business. But we have to grow quickly to compete against the Googles and Facebooks and the Microsofts. We need to make it amazing, but we have to remain sustainable. So the goal is now to jump to a higher level of sustainability and build the new system to make us a much bigger sustainable project. So give me another slide. So here are some of the problems that we're looking at right now. To be very honest, when the sort of things people say about Moodle, they go, it's complex, it's not easy to learn, it's got too many things. Like compared to the software from 2017 that we are used to, it looks old. Teachers don't drive it very well, usually. Most teachers use the minimum of features, maybe put some PDFs, maybe use a quiz, maybe an assignment. It's not a great situation, because if you use Moodle well, you know there's a lot of depth in there. There's a lot of tools that have been developed over 15 years. But it's how do we bring that out? Educators usually don't have enough support. I know a lot of you are in training. You do train educators in Moodle, which is great. More of that. And in many places in the world, there's not so much support. There is not training. It's not going on. People were just given the tool. Good luck. And it's not actually about Moodle itself. It's about the mindset of how to teach online. How do we teach through these? Right? It's easy. We all know about this situation, right? With the expert at the front, everybody sitting in chairs quietly, don't talk, shh. Looking and paying attention. So we understand this model. It's been around for a while. But do we understand this model very well? Most people no, because they haven't experienced a really good class ever. And now they're teaching. And lastly, yeah, Moodle is not where people are. People are in social things. They're in these. You just got to walk down the street and see everybody. Probably because they're addicted to Facebook. But still, this is now the internet, right? And in future, it's going to be other little devices that we carry around on us. It's going to be glasses. It's going to be more things on walls and devices and these little things around the home and so on. That's now the internet. So how do we use that? How do we teach through this environment? So currently Moodle isn't doing that very well. So this is the things we need to be fixing. So let me talk about the solutions and where we want to go. So there's 5 parts to the plans. We've got Moodle itself, obviously the Moodle code that you all use, the server code, the open source code. Moodle Cloud, which is our cloud system. We have a lot of sites there. Learn Moodle, which is a new way to learn Moodle. Moodle Services, which is when you need help, how do you get help? And in the middle, joining it together, is MoodleNet, which is a social media platform. Now, next slide. All of that is Moodle. All together. That's what Moodle will be in 2 years. It was just look at all these things, and they all work together. They're all designed to work together. So, next slide. But there are 5 parts, and I wanted to just describe them in a bit more detail now so you understand a bit what I'm talking about. Next slide. So firstly, Moodle itself. We are working on releasing Moodle 3.4 in, I think it's a few weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And as you know, we have this regular cycle of development and releases twice a year. We are working on that core thing, and then we have there are many developers in the community working on plugins and things that integrate with Moodle as well. For us, the number one thing to focus on is usability. This usability, how easy is it to do anything? So you have a need. I'm a teacher. I want to give my students feedback on their work. So that's a little process, that's a workflow. How do we make that as simple as possible? And there are many of these little workflows in a long course. How do we make each one of those workflows optimized? How do we make it so that it works just as well on this, or a tablet, or virtual reality glasses, or everything, right? So usability is all that the user stuff, the user experience. We're focusing on integrations. Moodle needs to integrate with the other open projects, open data, open research, etc. And not only, commercial things too, but for me, I'm more interested in the open. But it needs to be very, very good integrations. So I heard there was, Rebecca was saying there's a project here to build open education resources. So presumably they'll be in Spanish. And someone in Spain should be able to open their Moodle site and do a little search and find one of these things and just go drag, drop. into their course. That's usability, right? Boof. It should be, all of the complex technical issues should be hidden, and we just make it that simple. And I already mentioned, but the seamless consistency across devices. So when you move between the different devices, it should feel the same. And I don't mean it looks the same. I mean that you aren't confused. So if you're on a big screen and you can see a lot of things, great. If you're on a little screen, you can't see so much, but it should be, you should go, oh, I know where I am, I know what's happening. And more than that, say you're in a bus going to work, and you're reading some forum posts, and you start replying to one, you're replying, and you're going, oh, this is getting to be a very big, long post. And you go, I'll finish that later. You just turn it off. And you get to work, and you're sitting in front of the computer. That half-finished post should come up and go, oh, just finish it here. Set. So that it doesn't matter what device you're on. It's consistent and seamless. Seamless, it just transfers from one device to another. And that way, you use the devices for what they're good at. So these things are very good for, you know, scrolling, looking, browsing, bit of, oh, I'll send this here, I'll send this here. A big screen is good for more complicated construction of courses, this sort of stuff. Lastly, Moodle has to be an active participant in learning. Now, what I mean is that there is a lot of very interesting stuff happening in artificial intelligence in the world. I've been watching artificial intelligence for like 20 years, right, developing. And in the computer science community, there is a lot of people who say that we should build artificial intelligence tutors. We should replace teachers with computers. And I've always rejected this notion, right? I reject this whole thing because I think there's 7 billion people in the world. Why would you want to take that job away from a person? Because there's nothing better than a good teacher, right? However, you can have an assistant for the teacher. If you're dealing with 500 engineering students, you might need a little help to understand what they're all doing. So the idea of a computer-aided teaching, I love this idea. And I think Moodle needs to be actively helping teachers, saying, hey, look here, look at this. This is a problem. This is a success. These are things that are happening. And so we have started to work on that. I'll talk about it later. But also for students. Students, if the apps you're using were saying little reminders, do this, or, oh, you look like you're having some trouble, maybe you should talk to someone, or maybe you should do this. I think this will make the usability, it'll improve the usability of the product if we can get it right. Next one. So Moodle as a structure, as a concept, it doesn't need to change too much. The Moodle basic structure is similar to this university. You have a system, you have departments or categories, you have courses, the courses contain activities. It's very general. Probably in 50 years, it's not going to be any different, this basic structure. If you're going to have a course, you're going to have a series of activities. So, you know, we are obviously working on the core of Moodle to make it more usable, etc., but the basic ideas don't need to change. What will change is how we interact with it, and that's these different devices, the computers, the mobiles. Has anybody here tried virtual reality? Anybody? About 5 or 6 of you? How many people tried virtual reality where your hands had controllers? You have controllers in there as well. Yeah? Was it HTC Vive, was it? Or Oculus? Yeah, you have the helmet, but also... this is like 1996 or something. Yeah. No, it's improved a lot. I also was into VR in '96 also. If you can try an HTC Vive, I really recommend. I think the Oculus Rift also has controllers now, it's the same, but actually no, because with the Vive, you have these little sensors up around the room, and so you can walk, right? You can walk around the space. If I see a virtual reality thing here, I can take my hand, I can pick it up, I can bring it over here, right? And you're walking around in the space, and everything is available to you. Now, it doesn't have to be this, it can be anything. You can be on another planet, you can be in a nuclear power plant that's exploding all around you, and you have to solve the problem. So for simulations, it's amazing. And the spaces can be quite large, like it can be 6 meters or something. Once you've tried that, like the latest technology, you'll go, whoa, okay, I see now how changing this is going to be, because in the next couple of years, there won't be a big helmet, it's going to be that. And you won't have a big computer, you're going to have that. So this is your computer, this is your screen. The screen can hide the world, or it can mix the world with the digital. And so in maybe 3-4 years, my prediction, roughly, because I read a lot about this stuff, I know what's happening. In 3 or 4 years, you could all have glasses like this, and I could, instead of using this screen, just pull it out here and have a 3-dimensional thing here. So now we're all looking at the same digital world, but it's mixed in our real world. I don't see Moodle being in this space. Like, yeah, you can imagine that here's a course. That's not really very useful. It's probably easier to do this on a screen than a keyboard probably for a long time. But there will be very, very good experiences happening for your students. The students are going to be doing simulations and things like that. But those simulations, what happens if there's assessment? So say I'm doing this example of a nuclear power station. It's all burning and crashing, and I'm an engineer and I have to fix it, right? So I fix it, and the system measures my performance. So now what happens? So this number of performance, it needs to go somewhere into the grade book. Ah, okay, thank you. Sorry to the online people. This is much better. I was talking about a simulation of like a nuclear power plant. That's what I was waving my hands for. So the assessment that happens in that space has to go into an LMS. It has to go into Moodle. So there is a standard of transmission between the app that we were in to Moodle that it doesn't exist yet. We need to build this as an open standard. And secondly, if you're a teacher and you have said to your students, all of you go and do this activity, maybe you want to see them. So as a student, as a teacher, you see, yeah, here's Jose. Let's see how he did. Click, and then my glasses have a recording. And I can see Jose doing this thing, and I can walk around him and go, yeah, very interesting, that's cool. And so I can now be part of that simulation as well. Or maybe I'm in the live simulation as well. So Moodle will still be very relevant in this situation. The last one here is voice, the voice interfaces. And voice is improving a lot, although I only use Siri for 2 things on Apple. Mostly setting my alarm for the morning, that's about it. But you can see with the number of devices that the voice is getting better and better and better. In some years, it will be like another person. So Moodle, with the artificial intelligence assistant, can be talking to us, talking with us. And you can say, as a teacher, you might say, Moodle, how many of my students have not submitted their assignments yet? And Moodle will talk back and go, there's still 5 students. What do you want me to do with them? Say, can you send them a quick reminder? Just say, you better hurry up or you're going to get 0. And Moodle goes, okay, and sends them a message. So this sort of assistant, right? You don't have to open the device and start pressing buttons and typing. You can just ask for things. So that's obviously a vision of where I think it will be. But all of these pieces are coming. All of this technology is around. We don't have to even build the voice recognition. We don't have to build the VR stuff. We just have to build connections with it because the rest of the world is developing this stuff. Next slide. Have I got 3 hours? Because I'm going on a bit. We got to 12, right? Okay. I'm going to leave plenty of time for questions. So here's, that's just an example of what the AR, augmented reality, I keep saying AR, augmented reality. That's what that can look like, right? Where you have people seeing digital stuff in the real world. Next slide. So in Moodle 3.4, let's come back down to earth. Moodle 3.4, the latest release, we have been focusing on usability already, and there'll be more and more of this in the next couple of releases. The calendar looks much better now. The calendar is more like Google Calendar or something. You can drag stuff around and drop them and move stuff. It's what you expect. The participants page and the enrollments, which was really bad, is now fixed. It looks a lot, it's one page now. It's much easier. And we now have our analytics engine in core. And this is the foundation of the artificial intelligence. It already has a neural network. It's already analyzing what people are doing. And you can use that to start getting insights. It can start telling you things. Not yet with voices and all that stuff, but that can come like, we'll build this up, right? Next slide. So from now on, it's just this. It's really focused on this and integrations. There's one more thing which is a big focus for 3.5, which is privacy. Especially in Europe, we now have this GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulations. And from next year, they're starting to make it mandatory for all systems to have these privacy regulations. And this is a good thing because it helps everybody, actually. So we're focusing on that right now. I haven't got it on this slide. I should have put it there. But that's our focus as we go forward. Next one. Now, do you use the mobile app here? You do. So the mobile app has been improving quite fast, I hope you've found, the last couple of years. The interface is getting better and better. There's about to be a new significant upgrade to the interface as we're moving onto a new technology behind the app. Next slide. In Moodle 3.4, we're hitting 100% support for Moodle features for students. We're focused on students. The workshop module was the last one. And so that's a good milestone. The focus going after that is to focus on the third-party plugins. The extra plugins that maybe you have, you maybe have some of your own. We're going to make it easier for those to work on mobile as well. So currently they do work. It puts you into a browser and you can see them in a little mini browser inside the app. But we want to make native web interfaces, sorry, mobile interfaces for all plugins. But we had to finish the Moodle core first. And that's what we just got to. So next one. We also have this branded Moodle mobile app which we started this year. So Moodle headquarters, we can make a custom app for your institution. It's not free. It costs something because it's work. We have to do work. But you can still use the Moodle mobile app for free. It's the same functionality. There's no difference in functionality. It's just the branding. So instead of saying to students, go and get the Moodle mobile app, you can say, go and get the UNAM app. And it looks like, it says UNAM in the Apple Store, in the Google stores. It connects directly to Moodle. It's very simple. You only have username and password. There's no site. You just say, connect to the username and password. So, next one. I don't know how expensive that looks. It's 5,000 Australian dollars a year, because we then update it every 2 months. It's always the latest. We maintain it, and so on. If anybody's interested, moodle.com. So this helps support the project. It helps support other things we're doing. But that kind of price is actually less than it would take to do it yourself, I think. You don't have, this is just an option, right? If you want, you can get the open source code of the app and do it yourself. But it's going to cost your own time. So we can just do it for you. Next one. We now have a Moodle desktop as well. So it has the same functionality as the app, but it's for laptops and desktop computers. And it's quite cool because it works offline. So you can, as a student, connect to Moodle, download all the courses, work locally, offline. You don't need internet. You can do stuff, post on forums, etc., etc. And then when you have internet, you connect, pushes all your stuff back up again. Even quizzes, assignments, everything. So it's quite useful. And this can also be branded as well. You can make a UNAM version, or any university, any company can make a version of that. Next one. This is just a little bit about Project Inspire. This is the name of the analytics stuff that we put into 3.4. This is the internal name of the project, Inspire. But you remember I mentioned the analytics has like a little artificial intelligence in it? It has a brain. This brain, it's a neural network. It needs to be trained. You have to teach it. To teach it, we have to give it a lot of data. The data we are collecting from big universities, big users of Moodle, who have data for maybe 10 years of how students have gone and so on. We can use that data to teach this neural net how to improve. So if anyone feels interested, or maybe you have your own analytics project and you want to work with us together, what we're trying to build is an analytics platform that you can modify with plugins and customize locally. But we're trying to do this in core. So anyway, next one. The last thing about Moodle, the core product, is we are looking at getting more integrated on research around Moodle. A lot of the Moodle users do research on Moodle. I go to conferences that are not even about Moodle. They're like education conferences, research conferences. I was at one in Greece, in Athens. It was a IEEE engineering conference. 70% of the papers had Moodle. They used Moodle. And they're all, they're writing papers like, we have a hypothesis that this method is going to be effective and improve the effectiveness. So we implemented it in Moodle, and we studied the results, and here are the results, paper done, published. Somebody gets a PhD. But this work doesn't go into Moodle core. It doesn't go back. They just publish. They're just worried about getting their degrees and finishing. So the foundation is going to focus on how do we work together? How do we get these things into Moodle? How do we, when there are big projects, and especially in Europe, they have a lot of funding for European projects on research. We aren't included. People will go and get millions of euros for a Moodle-based project. We don't get included. So we're now trying to develop those partnerships and be involved, and that's something we're building here. Next one. Okay, I said there were 5, so we're on to number 2. This one, they'll go faster now. Number 2 is Moodle Cloud. So we've built a Moodle Cloud we now have 25,000 Moodle sites on this cloud. And we are learning how to operate many Moodles this way. We're learning a lot from it, and we can do it cheaper and cheaper. So the purpose is to make a cheap, effective Moodle for anyone. If a teacher just needs a Moodle site to practice on, and they're not allowed to use the university site, or maybe they want to look at the 3.4 and the latest features, well, you just go and get a free Moodle site on Moodle Cloud. It's very easy. Click, 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 bang. So the purpose is to just make this easy, because not everybody can install PHP, install MySQL databases, and all this stuff like we used to expect. In here, we're going to start building packages, so particular Moodle sites configured for particular users. So right now we have Moodle for Schools, which is focused on K-12 younger students. It's not so different from the main Moodle. It has a few extra plugins and some things, but over time we're going to make more kind of Moodle for this, Moodle for this, Moodle for that. Moodle for associations. Moodle for training firemen to fight fires, something like that, right? Lots of things. Integrations. There are some integrations we can do here that you can't do normally on Moodle because you need SaaS to SaaS platforms. And we're also building support for MOOCs there. So we have something called Academy, which we have a prototype. It's going to evolve into MOOCs on Moodle Cloud. And what that is course hosting. If, as a university, you want to have a MOOC for the outside world, maybe that you want to reach people outside who don't have to enroll in the university to be there. It's like some people use it for marketing. It's like a marketing for a university. You advertise, here's a couple of courses we're putting out to the public. You don't want 200,000 random strangers in your IT system. Sometimes you just want that out there on a different system that's very cheap and effective. So that's what we're building. Next one. So Moodle Cloud, yeah, I said, has these, we have this already, we have a lot of plans, a lot of development is happening, but they're mostly small sites. It's not for universities. It's not for big Moodle things. It's for small stuff. So, next one. Those are Australian dollars. Australian dollars are a bit like pesos. Not quite. It's like 75% of a US dollar. So it's smaller. Next one, please. All right, number 3 is a big one, learn Moodle. So a big problem I said was that people don't have support for Moodle. They don't know how to use Moodle very well. They don't know how to teach online. So what we are building, and we have a team of 5 people working on this, including, the team is led by my friend Tom Murdoch. Tom Murdoch is the guy who started Moodle Rooms. You may have heard of Moodle Rooms, which is our partner, and they were purchased by Blackboard, so now we have Blackboard as a partner, which is a bit freaky, but it's good because it's actually working out pretty well, and we have 80 partners around the world. They're just one of them, but yeah, Tom Murdoch doesn't work for them anymore. He works on this, and he's a teacher. He's a real teacher. In fact, when he started Moodle Rooms, he had done nothing else but teaching before. He wasn't a businessman when he started it. So what we're building is a curriculum from beginners all the way up to advanced. And we're trying to make it a standard curriculum that we can implement, that people can use around the world in all languages. You can do it online or do it in a classroom. There's a certification aspect. So if you are completing courses, you get a certificate. So has anybody here heard of the Moodle Course Creator Certificate? That's our old one, MCC, the MCCC. We had a certificate. It wasn't very good. This is the next level above all this. Now, this is the important part. We would love this to be used by universities. I would love it if you thought it was good enough to actually use as part of an education degree, for example. And so we are building that. We're building it with this in mind. Next slide. So here are some of the, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. It's still early, and we're still finishing the very first prototype, and then we're going to get more community feedback and more community. We're going to build this up. So there are 3 kind of main parts to it. There is, obviously you need to teach the Moodle tools. You need to say what a forum is, what a quiz is, etc., the basics. And this is all the MCCC ever was about, just about teaching the tools. But now we have more. We want to teach the teaching patterns. What are the patterns that you have when you're teaching online? And thirdly, teaching approaches, which is different to patterns. How do you approach teaching? What are you trying to do? And there's about 24 training modules. It's like an arts degree with lots of little modules, and you have some core ones and some optional ones, and you can build up towards your certification. We expect Moodle partners will be very involved. Moodle partner training will use this. It will be standard around the world. It has to be standard because of the certification part. Next one, please. So the certification will be on a central place. It'll be on MoodleNet, on the official Moodle site, official certifications. They're like badges, but much more than badges. They become part of your online reputation inside MoodleNet. So if you're certified, well, you can train other people, for example. If you're certified, people online can understand that you are an expert in Moodle, basically. We are looking for people to help get this involved in accreditation, so other accreditations. So each country has different accreditation processes. If we can align with those, if we can make it so that if your Moodle certificate is also a certificate for something else, then it's also a good thing, or very close. Next one. Now, the Moodle tools part, obviously, is just teaching the Moodle tools, which you all know about. Obviously, the names are different in Spanish, but these are just the basic tools. Teaching patterns. It's things like this, like challenging learners, or putting people into expert groups, how you set objectives, how you build a course culture amongst students, how you build a learning pathway, how you track progress, how you transmit content, where is the reflection happening for students, how do you build in opportunities for reflection and assessment, providing, how do you give people the opportunity to practice things, how do you let them practice in a safe space, how do you scaffold activities, how do you give them the information to do the activities but not do it for them, but how do you show them enough so that they can then do them. These are just some examples. There's a lot more, but this gives you the idea of what we're talking about with teaching patterns. And there's also things like that you may know from the classrooms, like the jigsaw pattern. I don't know if you got that concept here. Jigsaw. Is there something in Spanish for that? Yeah. Well, like where you break into different groups, small groups and then big groups and small groups and big, and you have these things, right? So these are the kind of patterns. So next slide. Now the approaches is more as a teacher, how you approach a course. So we've got the whole situation of I'm a teacher or a facilitator amongst a group of students, and we have something we're trying to do here. Now, it's not always I want to have the information in their head. Not always. So there's some research into 4 different approaches. The first one is learner-centered. In a learner-centered approach, actually, if you go to the next slide, I've got a better slide. Can you go to the next slide? Please, por favor. Okay. So, I started talking about learner-centered. So a learner-centered is about the satisfaction of the student. The student knows what they want to learn. Maybe it's different from this student to this student to this student. If you're learner-centered, you're helping satisfy what they need to learn. And this will work for some courses and teachers and not for others, but, or some institutions and not others. But like, to be explicit about these things, that's the important thing. To know that as a teacher, I am doing this. So another one is a scholar academic. This is the more traditional, we are going to learn the content, you're an academic, you're going to be ranked, 1 to 100 in your scores. It's very scholarly. You have text analysis, you're looking at assignments, essays. The metaphor for learning here is transmission. You're just transmitting content, right? Very, very straightforward. The social efficiency method is more about mastery of particular knowledge or techniques. It's a little bit more professional. It's like a professional approach. It's more postgraduate, maybe, in many cases. You may have more like statistical evaluations here, more quizzes and things like that. So you say, okay, here's some content. You have to demonstrate you can do it through a quiz, and bang, you've done it, got a score, finished. It's an efficient way of mastering particular concepts, and maybe the students are all at different levels, but they're all going through some path. So this is very common in like companies, company training, this sort of thing. Learner-centered I talked about. Last one is social reconstruction. Maybe you're teaching because you're trying to change the world. Maybe you're trying to help your students become strong thinkers about something. Maybe it's philosophy, psychology. There's a relation. So this is more of a socio-cultural approach. It's you're looking at social networks and things. It's about apprenticeships. It's about revolution. It's a different style of teaching. But this is all valid. They're all valid approaches. They're just for different things. But what matters is if you know explicitly that I'm doing one of these things, then the way you use Moodle is different. And so if we're teaching how to teach online, you need to be aware of how are you trying to teach? What are you trying to do? And so that's what we're bringing into the Moodle training, is a more pedagogical, a very deep pedagogical approach. And the courses are going to be very focused around this. So next one. So yeah, it's the same kind of thing broken down into a table of elements. This is probably not worth explaining too much, but you can sort of, the slide looks terrible. I got in very late last night. I had planned to work on these slides last night, but they lost my bag in Colombia, and I spent a lot of time at the airport trying to resolve all of this. And then I got to the hotel, and it's went, I was like, anyway, next slide you can see here. So that's 3. So number 4 is very quick. It's the Moodle services part. Yes, we have Moodle partners. We have many people also doing Moodle services in the world who are not Moodle partners, who don't contribute back to the project, which, it's not illegal. It's an open source thing. That's why we do open source. But we want to make it more attractive to be a partner. We want it to be different, better models so that we have more people involved contributing to the project and working with the project is the main idea. The key thing is that Moodle users, when they need help, can get it very quickly and get quality help so that they're not stuck learning on their own how to run a Moodle site, etc. The last thing is we have some very large commercial projects. Like we're talking about Moodle for a country, this level of things. So we are building up our capability at Moodle HQ to organize these kind of things. And when I mean Moodle for a country, I mean the ministry says we are going to have one LMS for all schools. And this is a big project, right? So we have to get together the partners, all of our people who are relevant, and get them to work together and manage these sorts of things. So next one, and the fifth one, the last one. This is brand new. So MoodleNet is a social media platform. And the quickest way to explain it, so you understand what I'm saying, is imagine LinkedIn, but just for educators. It gives you a little bit of an idea, but there's much more than that. So it will be another icon on your phone next to Facebook and LinkedIn. But it's for teachers, it's for educators. It's connected to your Moodle site, as well as the global social community. So, for example, you're on your phone, and you flip, and what you're feeding now, what you're seeing is not a lot of pictures of cats and dogs and people falling off things. You're seeing, if you are teaching physics, first year physics, to engineers in Spanish, your social group is other people who are teaching first year physics to engineers in Spanish. And so the conversation's a lot more rich, and it's professional development. So you're flipping through little discussions, resources. Somebody says, oh, I found a great site that has a really good resource. It's so useful for me. I use it in my course. And that's what you find. And you go, oh yeah, I'll use that in my course. So you press share. And when you press share, it comes up with a list of your courses. Because it's connected to your Moodle site too. It knows where your courses are. And you go, share to my first year course, bang. So now, when you come to your course, you find it at the top, this new resource, and you then put it into the content of the course where you want and you use it. So you get an idea how we're thinking of a professional development space, so we are learning together about how to teach certain subjects. It may not just be resources, it could be whole courses. So that's this part here, and particularly creation. If a teacher here who is doing physics first year for engineers in Spanish says, well, they're very good at it. They've been doing it for 5 years on Moodle. They know very well how to do this. They have success. They know how to use Moodle because you can see on their reputation in MoodleNet, if you go and look at them, you can see, oh, they've got a Moodle certification, right? And all this other experience. This is the university where they're at and so on. They have reputation from other people. So people who know that person will say, yes, she's very good at this, she's very good at that. Right? So you know you've got a lot of information. Now, if this teacher stands up and says, I would love to develop a Creative Commons version of this course, an open version of this course. Now, my university won't let me because of rules, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm going to develop it on the weekend in my spare time, and my family will just have to feed themselves. But, you know, maybe I should be paid something, $5,000, something, you know, it's a bit of extra income to make it worth my time. Now, the other teachers who are in the same space go, yeah, you're the person, you can do this. I'll put forward $100 towards it because it's going to save me so much time. And it's like a Kickstarter, crowdfunding, yeah? So people pledge the money. They don't pay it at the beginning, they pay it at the end if it's delivered and it's accepted. But they pledge, they say, yeah, I'll put this money towards. So this is a way for educators to get paid for being educators on top of what they do at school. And the world, at the end, will have an open educational resource, a Moodle course, a whole Moodle course that is open. And from then on, it's free. No one has to pay for it after that. You're only paying for the creation of the course. source, not the downloads. So it's not like copyright journals and all that stuff. It's just how do we pay people to do work, which is pretty accepted. So that's what this system is about, right? Next slide. So it all fits together a bit like this. Now, I've been told this is very complicated to look at. I think if you know Moodle well, it's okay. But I have an idea for a better way to do this diagram, but let me just explain it a bit. So you've got MoodleNet in the middle. And these are Moodle sites. So yeah, there's the Moodle Cloud, Moodle sites, and then there's all the other self-hosted. This is all your Moodle sites that you run. They can both connect to MoodleNet. MoodleNet is what is connecting to all the open education resources. Some of it will be inside MoodleNet, and some of it will be outside MoodleNet, but it'll still have the same interface, drag and drop, easy to add it. Moodle Mobile is down here, accessing either of those. The Moodle services you'll access through MoodleNet as well. So there will be large services like, oh, I really need someone to host my Moodle site for me and do some training and do this and do this. That's what Moodle partners do. So you can find a Moodle partner. But maybe you just I want help for half an hour. Will someone look at my course and tell me what's happening here? And you could put out a request, and somebody, another teacher, will go, yep, I'll help you. It cost you $10 for half an hour, let's say. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, help me out. So like, you might want to say, yeah, look, I'm available to help other people. This is my rate, between 6 and 8 every evening, or just on the weekends or something. So we can have a crowd-sourced kind of support. Now this is the kind of thing that was happening on Moodle.org, but very, very unstructured. This is more structured now. All the Moodle partners are available, the branded mobile as well, you can just get one, etc. Learn Moodle is connected because to use Learn Moodle, you need a MoodleNet account to get a certification. So it's connected to that. The Moodle Moots are connected. We have a Moodle Moot app, but the way I see Moodle Moots happening is MoodleNet in your feed will start saying, there is a Moodle conference happening in your city in 3 months. Do you want to go? Yep. Register. Bang. Done. Not difficult registration. You just go, yes, I will go. Puts it in your calendar. You pay through the same system, and you go to the Moodle conference. And we have them organized. Now, and also, if you present at a Moodle conference and it's recorded, so there's a video recording of your presentation, you can say, yes, I approve for this to be added to my profile. And we'll upload it and connect it to your profile in MoodleNet. It becomes part of your reputation. And so we all start to get to know each other. Oh yeah, this is the person who presented about this and this and this, and you learn from each other. We're teaching each other. And of course, MoodleNet has its own. Does that make sense? Sound good? The key thing is, though, how do we make this not Facebook, right? How do we make this not controlled too tightly by a central organization? So that is the challenge. Next slide. This is looking inside at some of the things. Now, we are just starting to design this, but I want people to trust, they should trust this system. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. How much do you trust LinkedIn? Also, people type whatever they want in LinkedIn as well. If you look at my profile in LinkedIn, it says I invented LinkedIn. Because I can do that on LinkedIn. People just type in stuff. This has to be something that you can trust, right? It has to be open, it has to be safe, it has to be private when you want it to be private. If you want to get out, you get out. I'm out of there. Ethical, it has to be transparent. So I mean transparent is that we want to publish exactly how this system runs. I want you to know where the servers are. I want you to know how the money works, how it's funded. I want you to understand the whole. There should be a page on the front page of MoodleNet that explains exactly how the system works. And it's got to be connected. It's got to be connected to you, connected to your institution, connected to the world, but with all those other things in mind. And so I would like it to have this MoodleNet where all the best educators meet. So inside are some parts. So there needs to be a Moodle identity provider. You know how you can log in on some systems and it says, do you want to log in using your Google account or your Facebook account? I want this to be the MoodleNet. You can log in with your MoodleNet account. Right? So it's an identity provider for lots of things. But it probably shouldn't be one big system controlled by any big thing. And this is what we're working on, is some federated kind of method. Federated means that different institutions control different parts. And the best example to look at is email. Email really works. Email is still as relevant today as it was 30 years ago. Nobody controls email, right? Completely open system. The reputation side, we have some very good researchers who have some new ideas for how you can control reputation. How I can give you a badge, a personal badge. Like if I know you really well, and I say, yeah, you're good at Moodle, and I give you a badge, like because I'm the Moodle guy, that has some weight, right? It has more weight than someone off the street giving you a Moodle badge. On LinkedIn, there's no difference. But in this, it's about reputations. How do we build reputations and connections between people? There's some really good researchers on this. The crowdfunding I talked about for funding stuff, the learning object repository, so the Moodle courses and content, and the external content, all that together. There's going to be messaging between us. There are some really good tools out there already that do messaging in a very interesting way. And I'm blanking on the name right now, but we're looking at all those. And of course, this has got a news feed, which is very tailored, customized to you, and it's something that actually helps you day to day. And it's not designed to be addictive. It's designed to be helpful, right? And that's the goal. So it's easy to talk about this when it's just a diagram. But I have the leader of this project. He starts on Tuesday. And we are going to get very, very heavy into the design now. We have a lot of ideas, but the design is the next bit. Next one. There's one more thing. Next one. Next page. So we have our Moodle organization. This is where all the staff of Moodle are. Here. We've got someone in India. We've got people across Europe, some North America. There's nobody here. So that's what we're trying to do. We're going to have more people globally and work more global. Next slide. Actually, go back one slide. I wanted to say this is a big M here because we're opening an office in Barcelona, an official premises. We actually have a little one already. There's like 3 people there. But this will be a big office. We're hiring more people there in Europe. Now, I know probably most of you don't speak Catalan, but they all speak Spanish. So, so we'll be in Spain. And I think having more people here in Spain, hopefully we can have better connections with people here as well. Okay, next one. We're going to be busy. Next one. So here's some ways you can join us and help us. Next one. You may want to get a sensational new branded Moodle mobile app. Just give it a try. You got a little bit of budget left over from everything, put it into that. Just come to Moodle.com. Next one. I didn't explain about the Moodle Users Association yet, but there is one. Has anybody heard of the Moodle Users Association? Can I have some hands? A couple? So this is an international association that is collecting membership money. You join it, you become a member, you pay money. The association has a committee, and every 6 months the whole organization works on what are their priorities for Moodle Core. What are the things they want to see in Moodle Core? And it's a voting process. If you've paid $10,000 to be a member, you have 10,000 votes. If you've paid $100 to be a member, you have 100 votes. And you vote on the projects that are suggested by the community. And the highest voting projects win, and they're sent to us, and they give us the money and the specification. And so remember before I said in 3.4 the calendar has had a lot of work? That was a Moodle Users Association project. So they said this was a priority. They gave us the money. I could pay developers. We got it done. We put it into core. We made sure it was a good quality. It's a win-win. So this is one way you can be directly involved as an individual, as an organization, as you want. So that's at moodleassociation.com. .org, actually. I think this also works, but it's .org. Okay, next one. Do we have any researchers here? Any real nerds, researchers? Well, look, I would say use Moodle for education research. Maybe it's not a new thing here, but like, because Moodle is very global, if you do research on Moodle, you have the chance of gathering a lot more data than you do otherwise. Moodle has a lot of data inside it. But if you have research where you create a new plugin or something to study something new, you can share that plugin and say, who wants to join me in my research? I want to do wider research across many universities. And because Moodle's so common, you have a lot of people, so it's very useful for that. You may also want to join in on our analytics. And you can find all of this on research.moodle.net. We have a lot of people talking together about this stuff. Mostly in English, I'm afraid. But maybe you can start a Spanish forum in there. Next one. If you just need a quick Moodle site, don't forget Moodle Cloud is there. You can get a Moodle site for free. It's a bit limited. If you want more, you can pay a little bit to get a bit more. Next one. If you need consulting, hosting, or other services, I hope you can use Moodle Partners, because 10% of what you pay them comes to us to work on core Moodle code. 10% of anything you're paying to them. So using them helps us a lot. 90% roughly of all of our money to pay developers for Moodle core comes this way. Okay, next one. If you think you've got great ideas about anything that I've talked about, I'm here. But sorry, that's an Australianism. Collar, make me a collar. You grab someone, like a collar. Just contact me, and I'll put you in touch with the right person. Right? I've got some business cards here I can give you, or you can always find me, martin@moodle.com. If you have grant funding for some big Moodle-related project, just let us know. Talk to us, because maybe it could help core Moodle somehow. That's it. Next one. Maybe you want to come in to join our team. Because we have this investment, we are actually hiring a lot of people. My last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, has been almost 90% interviews. I've been involved in a lot of the recruitment because we're hiring some quite senior people to lead various things. And but we're hiring all areas. If you have a lot of Moodle experience, looking for a change, you speak English pretty well, we are hiring, or Spanish, and you want to go to Barcelona, then we are hiring. Next one. And I just finished with that. Like, this is, for me, this is our goal. This is what we're trying to do here, because there is nothing more important than education. And I think that's the end. Is it? Next slide. Next one. Yeah, it is. So that's me on Twitter and other places, and that's my email if you need. And thank you very much for turning up on a Saturday morning in Mexico, busy Mexico City. It's been a pleasure. I think we have time for questions, but thank you very much. Sit down and relax.
Oh. Okay. Yes. So. Thank you. Bueno. Okay. Here, your website is using UX, user experience.
I have about 100 websites. Which one? So, yeah.
This is from Andy. Andy.
If you mean Moodle.com, there is a new Moodle.com coming in a couple of weeks. And yes, we did a lot of UX. In fact, all of Moodle development now starts with a UX process, which means we have prototypes, we do testing with real people, we get a lot of feedback, and we try and design everything before there's any code. This is our approach now to everything.
Okay, another congratulations and welcome to Mexico. What do you think about if in Moodle it's traditional or constructivism the main teaching now nowadays?
Well, so when I was designing the system, I was thinking about the students having a lot of ability to create content, to create discussions, to create wikis, to create quizzes, to create everything. And that's the point, is about social construction. You're constructing together. And look, now in 2017, we are very used to this. Like Facebook is a co-construction. The Twitter, the things we use on the internet, mostly we can change. But back in 1999, this was not a common concept. And but that's just how I was designing it. But in the fact, the way it's used, I would say 80% of the time is far more just one way. Most courses, they give content from the teacher to the student. You have to learn the content and then prove you've learned it through a quiz or assignment. That's the basic how most people do it. And I don't blame anybody for that, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think there's so much more. I wish these are more advanced things we could be doing more of. Yeah. In my courses, when I do courses for different things, I have no content. Like, I make the students create the content. It's easier. It's actually a lot easier. And the students learn more.
There's two about analytics and big data to know about the activity of
Sorry, what was the question? So
How big data and analytics are used in Moodle to know the activity of students?
yeah, so that's well, until now, until 3.4, Moodle has many reports. You know, there are a lot of reports that show you what students are doing. There is the very first module that I made for Moodle was the survey tool. Survey, I don't know what it is in Spanish, but
Encuesta.
yeah, it is. It's not the quiz.
No.
Okay. So most people don't use the survey because they look and they go, oh, I can't make my own. I have to use these ones that are there. But the ones that are there are instruments from research, specific instruments that are very good at, they're like a microscope for looking at your class and seeing what they're doing and understanding what they're doing. That was the first module I wrote. It is in fact analytics, because I used to run that every week in my courses. I give them a survey to understand where their heads are at. But you're talking more. What we're doing now with the new analytics in 3.4 is something more autonomous, more artificial intelligence, and it's going to look at more data and be more proactive. It's very, very configurable. You can say, I want to look at this, I want to look at that, I don't want to look at that, I don't want to look at this. But it's like a little bit of magic, the way neural nets work. The neural net is just connected to lots of data sources in Moodle, and it processes them, and it has a formula which it created itself, and then it tells you things. And you don't actually know the formula. And it's a bit like a brain. That's why they say it's a neural net, because it works like a brain does. And it learns. So if you put a feedback loop, you can say, it says something and you go, no, that's wrong. And so it learns. It suggests something, you go, yes, that's helpful. And it gets better and better and better. That is the future, because nobody wants to be looking at big dashboards with too many graphs and charts and tables, and it can help sometimes, but it's not as good as we can do, I don't think. So I know it's a lot of information about analytics.
Okay. Is it possible that you can give us your presentation?
Of course.
Share in our
Yep. I think.
module?
Yep. I had Creative Commons on the bottom. I don't know if you noticed. Yeah, I'll share it to you.
Okay.
To you, maybe you can
Yes.
contact Rebecca. She'll distribute it.
Yes, of course. And why do you think that there's so few Moodle partners in Latin America?
To be honest, we are a small company. We're 50 people now, and we've grown over 15 years. So, 2-3 years ago, we were like 30 people, something like that. And most of them are developers. And we don't have a lot of business development, marketing, like some companies. We haven't had a lot of this. And those that were all English speakers, to be frank. So I think this has been a communication issue. This sort of partnerships, it takes both sides. So you need interest. You need a company who's interested in being a Moodle partner and paying 10% to the project. And you need discussion from our end, about how we're going to work together, why, and so on. And so every partnership is really a partnership. And I hope this changes, because we are now really going to be a lot more here, and I want to work with people here, and especially people who understand this project and understand the importance of contributing.
It's good. What do you say to teachers that are refusing to use technology, not only Moodle technology in general, because I prefer face-to-face education and traditional.
Well, you know, the pencil is a technology. Paper is a technology. Lecture theatres are a technology. This didn't always exist. All of this didn't always exist. We always moving forward. Traditional. I don't think God said this is how it should be or anything. This is human beings. We use tools to communicate with each other. This is a tool for holding water. So I think I understand why people reject technology, because it's usually very difficult to use, and they aren't supported, and they don't see a reason for it. And I understand this very clearly. It's all about. That's why usability is so important. It's my job with everyone else to make Moodle so good to use that it's easy. And that's our challenge for sure. That said, I mean, you've got to look at the whole equation, right? So if you want to be a teacher and you want to actually have some impact, you've got to be thinking about who are you teaching. And if all your students are sitting there with a mobile phone in front of their faces, you can't ignore that. You just can't. It's just how it is now. It's 2017. So, you know, we all need to think, let's get real, right? Yeah. And if it's hard, well, let's help the people who find it hard and make it easy.
I think that you mentioned it, but is there a possibility to connect Moodle to virtual reality? I think this is from
so.
Is there a possibility to connect Moodle to virtual reality system?
Well, I was explaining that's one of the goals there. There's a couple of other things. One of our developers made a very cool virtual reality version of the quiz. So when you go in the quiz, there is a button, and it's VR. And when you press VR, the screen changes to it's like two images. And if you have virtual reality glasses plugged into your computer, you can now see the quiz as you're in space, right? It's stars, and you're in space, and each question is delivered. So it says, here's the question. It only works for multiple choice. Here's the question, and each answer comes as a spaceship, and it's flying towards you, and you have to use your hand. It's like a gun. You have to shoot the right answer, and the spaceships are flying over you. So next question. So you have to. It's like a shooting game, and you have to shoot the questions. He made this in it took him 1 week. It wasn't too hard, but I don't think this is the future of Moodle. I don't think this doesn't add very much educationally. Yeah, it's a bit of fun. If students enjoy it and have fun, good. But it's not the whole direction of Moodle. As I said, I think simulations made by other people is the future, and we need to get the data into the LMS. Yeah.
And have you tried an iframe from Mozilla for virtual reality?
An A-frame.
iframe.
Yeah. Actually, somebody showed me this last week, or I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but it looks cool. Are you? Oh, maybe you can show me something after. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Will Moodle require for a secure socket layer certificate in the future?
Yes. Well, we have recommended this for a long time, for many years. In 3.4, it's becoming impossible to avoid. So, yeah, that you need to have SSL. Just don't even consider not doing it. Just you can get a free certificate from Let's Encrypt, let'sencrypt.com. You can get a free one. There's no reason not to do it. This performance is not an issue anymore. It's just everything on the internet should be encrypted.
This is tough. What makes Moodle better than other systems? No.
Well, look, I respect all systems. I think anybody who builds software to help people is a good thing. So I'm not, obviously I'm biased, and I think Moodle has, as a truly open source project, like we really are open source, and I think the things we're doing to make it sustainable are quite unique. But there are a lot of companies that are not really open source, and they will put a version of their software somewhere on the internet with no support, no community, and they'll say, oh yes, we are open source, tick the box. But it's not true open source, I think. Our community is building stuff. So I think that is a good thing about our project. I think the second thing is that we have a mission that I feel very proud to wear on a t-shirt. I think a lot of you could wear this t-shirt. I think most of our community could wear this t-shirt. And some other companies that make LMSs, their main mission is to make money. So I think it comes down to that, basically.
Okay. I would like to know the people that make all these questions. So, Andrea Sanchez, for you to know the people. Ileana Marín.
Hi.
Jorge Díaz. Javier Gutiérrez.
Okay.
Juan Carlos Islas.
Yeah.
Julio.
Hi.
There's no name. And Max.
Hey, Max.
Max. And I think that this is for you, a recommendation, Cali Arena. Cali. 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 Lab or showroom?
Oh.
But it's the experience of
Migrant.
migrants
Uh-huh.
in the Arizona desert. So I didn't go yet.
Is it possible to go and experience this?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, everyone. Is it interactive? Can you do things in the space?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, it's very, very visceral. Like it's amazing how the mind just accepts. The mind can accept, even when the graphics are not as good as real life, even when the sound is not as good, even when the motion is not as good, but your mind just goes, yep. And when your hand is in there and when you're looking at it and it's not a hand anymore, now it's something else. It's like maybe it's a crab claw, like this, and your mind goes, yep, I have a crab claw now. That's what I have, like a crab. And it's amazing. Your mind, it really is virtual reality. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Flesh and sand. Okay.
Flesh and sand.
Arena means sand?
Sand.
Okay. All right.
Well,
I'm learning.
that's all.
That's all.
Thank
We're
you.
on time.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. And thanks again for being away from your families for Saturday morning. I appreciate it.
A little minute, because I have to recognize this conference, but I don't have here. So
It's
just
okay.
a minute.
No.
I just remember.
Doot, Do 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 do. I just was in Ipanema, so we could just have a chat. Yeah, you want to?
Just wanted to thank you about the whole project. I just wanted to tell you what I'm working on. I've been working on several projects in Model, and I just wanted to know what are you helping on. I used to work in Comisión Nacional de Derechos Humanos, human rights organization, and he's actually taking courses to give all people about his human rights.
Yeah, cool.
And also they are teaching, there's a huge problem in Mexico about government, they don't respect human rights, so they're teaching government as well.
Wow.
And I'm practicing, well, I'm also involved in an equal gender organization. And right now he's working in a school to empower women on political scenarios. So right now, it's not just model, and I'm pretty sure you already know, it's not just model for
No.
teaching kids, but you're already globing, you're already surrounded, right?
One of the things that's fantastic. Moodle's used it quite a lot in humanitarian, there's children. What's the children one? Well, it's UNICEF. There's another one, Save the Children. They use Moodle. There's a lot of charities and things in Syria, and I love that. And I'm most proud that Moodle is used by the UN. And I went to the UN and in New York. Just again, it was like this. I'm in the area. I'll just drop in, and I was talking to one guy. He said, I'll get some people together, and then he was 12 different departments using Moodle, and they weren't talking to each other much, and so this was an opportunity for them to actually talk together. And so, that, for example, if you join the UN, I heard that they have a psychometric test they give you on Moodle. If you work at the UN and you're being sent to a country and you have to learn the security rules, they have a quiz, you have to learn a whole course to learn the security conditions for this country, etc. Very cool. I love that. And I want now to work more with these organizations, more proactively, because it's right on mission. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
The National University of Mexico gives you a recognize because of this conference today, 28th of October. Thank you, Martin.
Gracias. Thank you. It's not bad. This all started from one tweet. That's pretty good. Yeah. All right. I appreciate the portability.
And I have to say that Monica here in front of me, it's the reason that we are here together.
Okay. Thank you, Monica.
She found it and,
right.
and she shared it.
I should have been. I meant to be much more proactive and contact people, but I was in a hurry and I just did a tweet and it worked. So I'm glad. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you more.
Really.